Today I'm going to tell you why simplicity, emissions, turbos, design, and spoilers all peaked in the past. Today I'm really just going to tell you why cars were better in the 80s.
Fill me out with your smile. Now the sunshine brings the light. Fill me out with a flame. I will let you in this game. Take me out when I'm down. 'Cause with you I'm safe and sound. 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 Bring that beat back.
Ever since the beginning of time, man has been obsessed with a large thing hanging off the back of his car. That thing is, of course, the spoiler. I mean, the 80s basically epitomized spoilers. Think F40, think Countach. Hell, even the 944 behind me has a spoiler. And if a car didn't have a spoiler, it wanted one. Luckily, the cars that did have spoilers didn't have to press a button to make it deploy or even reach a certain speed. No. This is always here. And you can know for a fact that most of these spoilers, well, they're not there for aerodynamics, are they? Now, don't call me a sentimental old man, but I think simplicity goes a long way. There's something about having 3 pedals and no distractions. There's something authentic about driving it. You're driving a car with consequences. You can't really mess up with these cars. In the 80s, most of the time they didn't have ABS. This is a car that you really have to know how to drive. And a car that doesn't drive you. Tesla. Now this was an era of bling. But not bling in the sense of your Escalade dub edition on 22s from an episode of Cribs. But rather stock market bling. Everyone from the 80s wanted to show their wealth. And that was influenced by the design. Let's take our Porsche 944 for instance. I mean, I don't really see a flat panel on it. There seems to be an angle in every square inch of the car. It looks as if it can cut through the air and fly away. Like a wind tunnel shaped its every arch. But is that true? Can a car like the Porsche behind me be that aerodynamically amazing, even with all of those angles? Sure, maybe because it's German and there's a certain extent of slip in the air with this car. But the perfect example that I like to bring up is the Lamborghini Countach. The Countach was said to be as aerodynamically equivalent to a brick, and that surprised people because of all the wings and fins. It looked like it could cut through the air like a spaceship. But that just wasn't true. That was the trickery of 80s design. But let's step aside from the Countach for a second. Let's talk about why design was the way it was in the 80s. And no, it isn't just the stock market. A lot of it had to do with regulations. Today we face crash regulations. We can't have a pedestrian too harshly impaled by a spirit of ecstasy, so the Rolls-Royce grill has to round in like you see on the Ghosts and the Wraiths. A lot of that influences how we can design things. Safety regulations are a big problem. I mean, for saving people it's great, but I mean for, the design thing. Not only was design a gold rush in the 80s, but I guess you could say emissions were for cars too, because it was much less strict, as you can tell from today, building an engine in a car. What a lot of engineers thought was not how efficient can I make this car or how much do I want to kill the ozone. What they're thinking is how fast can I make this engine run with the current technology that we have. Today, engineers have to do somersaults just to keep everybody happy. whether it has to do with the literage of your engine or how restrictive your exhaust pipes are. They have to keep the government happy, and they have to keep the consumer happy by giving you enough power out of a tiny engine. My next point is a word, the word turbo. If your anything didn't say the word turbo on it, well, it just wasn't cool. Today we have turbos to be efficient. Back then, we had turbos to be fast, and efficiency was just a byproduct. In the 80s, turbo meant something. In fact, 3,000 RPM really meant something, because with these cars you had something called turbo lag, which was a crazy sensation of absolutely nothing until you got a shotgun to the back of your head as soon as 3,000 RPM kicked in. I mean, that's a lot where the term widowmaker came in, where the really talented drivers were the ones that survived in their commercially sold vehicles, like the 930 Turbo, for instance. The 930 was famous for husbands driving off into the sunset, going for a nice drive and hitting a corner and never coming back. Yeah, the turbo kicked in. Well, I wasn't born in the 80s, but I think I'm already feeling nostalgic. See, 1980s cars offer something very unique, whether it's the design or the way they drive. There's something irreplaceable in the sensation and the realism of driving an old school car like this. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace!